Okay, welcome to Anything Goes with Joe and Carla, and this is our first episode. Sweetheart.
I think dapat Joe and Carla para...
Okay.
Okay, again.
Welcome to Anything.
No.
Tapos goes ka. Ganyan gusto ko, diba?
No, Anything Goes with Joe and Carla. And I go and Carla.
Yun lang yung i-alternate natin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 3. Welcome to Anything Joe's.
That's so not what we intended
Na-conscious na ako
to
sa
say.
iyo eh.
Again.
Okay. Welcome to Anything Goes with Joe.
And Carla.
And this is our podcast. We've been trying to get a podcast off the ground for...
Many months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe even over a year. Because that was like before Manu. Life is hard with 2 kids.
But this whole global situation with COVID-19 is forcing us to rethink.
Not really forcing us to rethink, but it's more of like it gave us time.
One unexpected benefit. Yeah, one side benefit was that. So, sweetheart, why did we call this Anything Goes?
Because really, anything goes in this podcast. A lot of podcasts out there would be expected to talk about a certain topic, but we just can't force ourselves to be like that. We're just really random.
Yeah, and I think that's what drew us to each other and what surprised us about each other, that we could talk about anything. And I think that's how you fell for me. And
It was really a fall.
And I definitely fell for you. Grabe, lahat na lang ng topic pwede nating pag-usapan.
Right. So,
but it's not like we had the same perspective on things.
Nope, definitely not. And that's what I look forward to doing with you on this podcast.
Disagreeing. Okay.
Yeah, disagree. Yeah. We love to disagree though. I mean, like it gets me irritated and annoyed sometimes, pero it's fun. It's such a good exercise.
I love being challenged by you. And I love having to rethink positions that I've had.
Agree.
And I think because of our love for learning, and a willingness to explore things from different perspectives. And that's why we're grateful for friends and for the internet and for our church that has encouraged us to do this. And so we just want to explore a bunch of different topics in this element. And so there's a video that I'm looking at right now, but we're also recording this completely audio for those of you audio listeners, which is one thing we disagree on.
Not naman disagree. I don't disagree with you, but I'm more of like I'm
you just
different.
disagreed with me now.
Yeah. I disagreed on us disagreeing about this topic.
Okay, we're not disagreeing on podcasts.
Yeah.
We're just different.
I fall more on the visual, right?
Yep.
So parang I love to see things. I'm more image driven and also like the text on a book. That helps me to learn. Pero yung auditory kasi, every time I listen to a podcast, my mind wanders and then
you fall asleep.
I fall asleep. So, yun, hindi lang talaga siya nag-work for me. Kaya feeling ko, ang galing lang niya kasi feeling ko, ang galing ng discipline na yun. And I feel like he's like that. And our firstborn is also like that. Like I was so surprised that I would feel like he wouldn't listen. I would be talking or something would be playing in the background. And then all of a sudden, he'd look up and then he repeats to me everything he hears. And I'm like, that is amazing because I can't do that.
So there's different kinds of people. And so that's why we have a video for those of you people who like videos. And we've also got audio for those of you who want to do other stuff.
Mic.
Like wash dishes or drive or take a shower while listening to these things. And in this podcast, we'll have the same format. So we'll start with what we're into, our topic of the day, and then the third section will be questions. We'll handle questions that people have sent in.
So later on, we're gonna answer questions that I actually got from my Instagram account, and we picked 3 out of the many ones that we got.
And true enough, there was a variety. It was an anything goes question section also.
I think our followers are like that
Eclectic ba tawag doon?
Yeah, probably. Because that's what they call it in homeschooling eclectic.
Okay, so what are we into? Sweetheart, what are you into right now? In this section, we're going to introduce something to each other that the other person might not be that into. And is going to do their best, at least for like a few seconds or minutes.
To listen.
And to try to appreciate.
Yeah.
I found this book in that used bookstore we went to the other day.
Okay.
And I'm so happy about it. It's the Mongol art of war. The expression on your face. And I'm just a huge fan of military history, of history in general, but especially military history. And it was another podcast that a friend of mine told me about, Jonathan Merle, that got me turned on to studying about the Mongolian art of war under Gengis Khan. And,
is that how you say it? Gengis?
Chinggis, I didn't say.
Chinggis?
Yeah.
Because if you read it, it's Gengis, diba?
Yeah, and that's why some
that's
people
how you say it
actually
pala.
spell it as Chinggis.
Yun, Chinggis.
Also known as Gengis Khan in the West. War crimes, terrible atrocities, just the amount of murder and rape and destruction of culture and destruction of economy. Definitely top prize winner in all of history. One of the best at that. One of the best.
Why would somebody like
at
that
being
so
evil?
much?
Okay, wait. I know. So I'm acknowledging that right from the beginning. But at the same time, he was a fascinating leader. And to take a people group like theirs, which was so looked down on by supposedly civilized societies, like for them to be able to conquer them, was a combination of both the ruthlessness of his people, but also the discipline and the organization.
Right.
And one of the things I love about them was they were a very meritocracy. Which is, he didn't empower people based on family, lineage, based on ethnicity. He empowered people based on who was the best. Yeah. In fact, one of his most successful generals was this guy who tried to kill him. And this guy almost killed him. And he was so impressed that this guy almost killed him. He was like, if you're willing to work for me now, you're going to be one of my best generals. And the guy was willing to do that. And he became one of the greatest generals for the Mongols. So that's what I'm into. I'm so thankful that I get to read this book right now.
I'm so into the $4. Ayan, nakikita niyo yung video na yan. It says $4. So I'm so into the price because we went to this used bookstore here in LA.
So
we got it from that.
That's my show and tell. What's yours?
Okay, wait. I'm gonna go get mine.
You have to get it?
Yeah, because I forgot to get my prop. So you go and talk to them.
That's another difference between us. One of us is prepared and the other one is not prepared. You know, sometimes it's just so hard, you know, to have to hold it in, okay? It's just, I know. Hi!
Alam ko.
Just kidding.
Sinisiraan mo lang. Okay, so I'm into
Yes!
interdental toothbrush.
Okay lang ba if I provide history for this?
Sige, sure.
So Philip lost a tooth. And as we were fiddling with the wiggly tooth right before he lost it, I looked there and his teeth were so black on the top of the molars.
He just ate something because I asked the dentist after that and she's like, his teeth are great.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I panicked. Not panicked, but I was like, wait.
He probably just had some like food in there.
Or chocolate or something. Because it was really black. So I said, we have to bring him to the dentist right now. And Carla was not such a fan of going to the dentist ever since we've been married.
I super don't like them.
And so she had no choice but to bring him to the dentist and
Oy, pero please mahiya ka. Ikaw rin naman, ayaw mo, hindi ka nga nagde-dentist eh.
Because of you.
What?
Yeah. I would regularly go, even as a single person, twice a year.
Then why would you just drop it just because you got married?
Because I asked you and you said, no, that's not important. So, okay, never mind.
You did? And I said that? I take it back. So actually, this whole dentist thing started when I put braces again.
Yeah.
So this is the second time around that I'm wearing braces. I wore one when I was, I'm not sure, parang mga 10 years old lang yata ako. Kasi super sunky yung ipin ko. Kailangan talaga ng intervention. And they even had to take a lot of teeth out.
Ouch, how many did you lose?
I think 4. And I have to lose another one pa nga now. Ganun yung history ko. And then when was that? Last year? I just started noticing that my teeth were kind of sliding back. Anong tawag doon? When you don't wear your retainers.
Your teeth were backsliding.
parang religion lang, no? Parang faith. Backslide yung ipin ko. Hindi. There's a certain term. Oh, I'm forgetting
Please
that term.
comment so we can remember that super important term. We can't move on. We have to stop everything now.
And so I went back. That's when I started to care for my teeth again. And then just recently, so sobrang sobrang galing ni Dr. Pritzi.
At Kasipit Dental.
Yeah, Kasipit Dental. So I go to Kasipit Dental Clinic. She was able to make me care for the teeth. Ang dami ko nang sinabi. Wala pa ako sa interdental toothbrush. But this is what Dr. Pritzi was telling me about. This interdental toothbrush is something that you use for the in-between your teeth. So, kasi pag nagtutoothbrush ka lang, and oh my gosh, okay, why am I so passionate? Okay, no matter how good of a toothbrusher you are, akala mo ang galing mo na. Then when I started using interdental, oh my gosh.
She points into the sink and there's all these like bits of food
Of
or
meat.
whatever.
So it's usually meat and nuts.
And she's so happy. She's like, you see?
I can get about 20.
Stop.
20 of those
Oh,
things.
enough. Just
out of my mouth.
Just tell them to use it. I need to tell them how much you have left.
Maybe I should take a picture of it.
Hey, why would you do that?
No, because I want to convince people that this will change your life. Talaga, it will change your life. All right, if you notice, for those of you who are watching on video, you can see there's a bed right behind us.
And if you've seen any of Carla's vlogs in our house, you know
You
this
wouldn't
isn't
recognize
our
that this
house.
is not our house.
We're held captive here, so please contact the police. We don't know where we can tell you.
We
that
are
there is
stranded with this whole COVID 2019 fiasco. We are here in California. Dito kami inabutan. People were already warning us, like telling us na there's this whole corona thing. And honestly, my feeling was this is gonna blow over in a few days. Days pa.
Yeah.
Na feeling ko they would just realize that this is not as bad as we think it to be, but the opposite happened.
I was kind of the other way, sweetheart, because to me, I was looking at the news coming from China, and I'm talking about December. December, January, and early Feb. Looking at the news coming from China and looking at the number of Chinese nationals in the Philippines and the lack of travel restrictions. Doon ako kinabahan because I was thinking, there is no way this is not in the Philippines yet. And so I half expected this trip to be
sorry,
canceled.
I wasn't thinking that it wouldn't get to us. Did you think it was serious?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think it was that serious.
I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to be like a fear monger. And I didn't have data. You know what I mean? I'm not naman an expert on it. It was just connecting like, okay, if it's that bad there, we're not stopping anything here. Now it's getting bad in South Korea. Paano pa kaya tayo? Parang ganun. Yun yung inisip ko. Obviously, it's very concerning to see how some people respond.
In the age of where woke is like the trend, everybody's just, complaining about something and fighting about something.
And finding something to
pick on and say that's not right. You can really find a lot of hate. I do get annoyed by some people who say this and say that, but parang, is it even right to like hate on that person and to gang up on that person just because that person did something wrong and she or he happened to broadcast it, diba? And I did that. That happened to me. I'm not
years ago.
I'm not a super good person, but I'm also not naman entirely bad. But the nation started to just hate on me for
a number of people, yeah.
One thing that I said wrong.
And the challenge at this time, and especially for followers of Jesus, this is not a call to apathy or to staying silent or turning a blind eye to other people's problems or saying, well, I can't do anything about it. No, we still have to act, we still have to move, but how we do it, especially as people of God, needs to reflect the nature of our God. A God who fights for the oppressed,
right.
A God who cares about injustice, a God who represents those who have no representation, who stands with people with no representation, and yet at the same time is forgiving, is gracious, is loving. His kindness, like Bishop Jury said last Sunday, leads us to repentance. So all of those things. And I think that's where a community comes in. Because I have people in my life who are more leading towards get involved, let's do something. And I have people in my life who are reminding me as well to stay calm and to lift things up to God. And that tension helps, helps us.
They're not naman exclusive na
yeah,
parang
that's the point.
It's just one way or another, hindi. It's like both why can't you not practice both? It's kind of similar with my reflection recently na about the whole COVID 2019. I would remember COVID through the story of Jesus foretelling the denial of Peter.
Okay.
So I was reading the Bible, and then...
Okay, so she always has connections like this in our relationship. So far, it's been pretty good. It's just...
So just bear with me, okay?
The first part is always...
bear with me. Jesus goes, you guys are gonna leave me, okay? When this... Okay. You guys are gonna do this, and then Peter goes, and Peter is this kind of character in the Bible talaga, na if you follow him, siya lang yung titingnan mo. And again, may self-assurance. Diba? Parang he's always sure of his answer. I know who you are, Lord. Yung ganon. So Jesus goes, you're gonna deny me, and you're gonna do it even 3 times. So he was that sure.
Yeah.
Peter was also that sure. But it turns out that Jesus is right. He did deny Jesus. In this age of information, how we're all so sure about what we're doing, and how we're all so planned, and there's rarely anything that reminds us of our vulnerability as human beings, because we're just so equipped in this day and age.
Yeah.
But there's that place for healthy, holy fear. Now you don't know everything. You can't know everything. In the age of Wikipedia,
my point.
Of Google everything, diba? What can you not know? But here you see a story that shows you that even you cannot completely know yourself. But someone does.
And Peter's statement was an I would never.
Yeah. This is why I said he's so sure. Because he said, I would never. And he did.
And that's why we have to be careful with judgments.
Right. And
because to say I would never.
Never say never. And so I think it just reminds me of 2 things. One is that healthy, holy fear that we must have in our hearts. And the thing is, everybody knows everything online. You look at somebody's feed and they have all the statements about COVID. And it could be completely the opposite thing of another friend's posts on the same platform, saying, okay, this is nothing. And then the other one says, this is everything. And you're like, what do I believe? But the thing is, nobody really knows perfectly what this...
How bad
how
quick it's gonna be.
Nobody knows when it's gonna end even. So parang it's so an arrogance from our end to say that we actually know for sure.
Yeah.
And we need to have that healthy, holy fear, saying that, I really am so not sure of where this is headed.
Yeah.
Sorry, the other thing that I forgot to mention is that yes, you have fear. But also at the same time, where does faith play in there? Jesus knew he was gonna do this, but Jesus went ahead of him.
Yeah.
And said, I've got this covered. I know what you're gonna do, but I'm still gonna forgive you and even reinstate you.
Yeah.
And you can still keep on doing our mission, even if you denied me 3 times.
Yeah.
I'm gonna forgive you. And so for all of us, it's a healthy reminder also that even as we fear, we can have faith that somebody knows where this is headed.
Yeah.
That somebody knows the end to all of these things.
So that's our topic for the day. COVID-19 for now. Who knows? We might go back into this depending how long it goes.
Yeah.
Next week we'll talk about something else. Do you want to tell them what we're talking about, or?
Cliffhanger.
It's gonna be a super obvious clue. The moment you say it, it's gonna be so obvious.
Okay, let me just say this thing that we're gonna talk about next week has made me rethink my skincare. But let's move on to our next and last portion.
Really quickly, question and answer. So, sweetheart, we've got 2 questions there. What are our questions?
The first question comes from Randall.
And if you have questions that you want to send, you can just send it to any of our social media channels. But if you really want to make sure that it gets to this podcast, send an email to joeandcarlapodcast@gmail.com.
Right. Okay, and now the first question is from Randall Tiongson.
Hey,
He's
Randall.
a very good friend. Randall goes, who wants cookies?
I do. I always want cookies. But
I'm not a cookie
from
lover.
you, Randall, and high quality ones. I feel like I need to spell that out. I don't like just any cookies, okay? So
wow, grabe.
Snub.
Cookie snob. Okay, we've got a cookie snob in the house.
So
That's
from
for
Randall
real.
and from
I'm
his
sorry,
daughter
but
Gabby,
Chips Ahoy
definitely.
does not pass.
For me?
Yeah, right?
Well, now in this day and age of quarantine.
Nag-iiba yung mga values mo pagka
parang
naka-quarantine
sige na nga, mag-chips ahoy na ako. Oo.
And the next question is, so Randall, thank you for sending them over. Okay, this is from Ivana Bianca. How did you get Philip to love reading? I always get this question. Every time I post stories of Philip reading a book, they're like, how did you get him to read?
I think the quote that you had from whoever that childhood development person was really helped me with this. That children don't imitate, they incarnate. And that means whatever is around them, they manifest.
That's
They become
Maria Montessori.
Okay, there you go. They become that thing, you know. And we see this everywhere. We see this in homes where the parents are very fit and athletic. Their kids just naturally become very fit and athletic or interested in that kind of thing. In homes where there's a good chef in the house, so many great cooks nowadays. You ask them, saan ka nagsimula? They'll say, my mom, my lola, my dad, my tito just kept cooking, and now I cook all the time.
I read Freakonomics. I don't know which version that was, but there was a part about kids who love to read. Or I don't know if it's just an incidental story. But here's what I got. Even if you try with all your might to teach your kids to read, if you are not a reader yourself, if you don't have reading in your house as a lifestyle, you will not be able to make that child read. Or you will not get him to be a book lover, at least. So even if they don't see a reading, if your house is filled with books, and again it goes back to they will incarnate whatever is in your home. So which is also why our stand is to never put things in our house that we don't want our kids to incarnate.
Yeah, so she made me give back the Nintendo Switch.
Baka another topic yan. But, yeah. So, dun ko nakuha yon. And that was before getting married. And so, I realized very early on that if I want to have children who love to read, I need to get a husband who loves to read. Because I love to read. But if I'm the only one who loves to read...
That's all I am to you?
Yes, that's all you are to me. It doesn't have to be parents talaga. But, like, for me, in my case, my ate was a reader. Like, she was like a Daniel Steele fan. So she had like books and books and books, and also Archie comics.
Okay.
That's how I started reading comics.
Hey, I have
Archie.
a friend, Dennis C., who's an amazing, very prolific reader now and author of his own books, who got started in college reading his first book because of a Larry Bird book. Who is Larry Bird?
Basketball player. He's not a bird. He's not a bird. He's not a bird. Okay. I feel like those things kasi matter.
It means you don't need to be necessarily a bookworm.
Right. But
And
if you
it's
read,
not necessarily the parent also. But if there's someone in that person's life who encourages and exemplifies reading, that kid could pick it
and
up.
so, we're wrapping this up. And if you are a single person listening to this podcast, all I can say is that get a husband who reads if you want your child to read.
That is not what that was the application.
I know.
I did not see it going that way.
I know.
Anyway, that's our first podcast ever.
Yeah, thanks for listening, for enduring how many minutes of your life with us.
Yeah, and if you have comments, you can reach us on social media. She's
Right.
on we're both on Facebook. We're both on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. You can also send an email if it's specific for the
I quit
podcast.
Twitter because I don't want to be angry anymore.
Joe and Carla podcast at gmail.com.
Thank you, guys.
See you around.